Welcome back. It's 8:41. This is Dr. Wes Crenshaw. He's a family psychologist and teen parenting expert. How many parents would love to have you just at their beck and call?
An awful lot of them, it turns out.
He has a column called Double Take in the Lawrence Journal-World newspaper, which has been, he's had so many letters, this has turned into not one but two books. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. It's good to be here.
We asked him to come on the show to talk about the transition kids are about to make, going back to school. Middle school into high school. Let's start with that one, because that's really scary for a lot of kids, intimidating.
Well, it is, and the best thing parents really can do in helping their son or daughter is to have established a good communication relationship with them so that they know what is going on in the kids' lives. And of course, kids aren't always as easy to access as we'd like them to be, but the more we can have that conversation with them, the more we know what's going on. And then it's also really helpful to know that you are still the most influential part of your child's life going into high school. It's not really the peer group. We all think that.
A lot of parents aren't going to believe that.
I know.
Oh, come on. My kid's more influenced by
Every
their
week
friends.
in my office, I hear that. But it's actually the truth. In the long run, research tells us that young adults resemble their parents in behaviors and attitudes and values far more than they do their
So they're
peer
hearing
group.
you, even though they may not be actually doing what you say.
Absolutely. And so you have to build that loving home environment that really is a platform for their functioning in school and sports and friendships and everything. You're going to end up being the winner in the end.
Okay. When you are making the transition for a high school student into college, let's talk about that a little bit. What's most important?
The biggest issue there is that you have to really renegotiate. That's the secret word there. Renegotiate the boundaries, renegotiate what the rules are going to be. If the young person's still living at home, if they're going to JUCO or attending a local university and living at home, they have to understand living at home at this point is a privilege. And you're a roommate with your parents all of a sudden and not obligated, they're not obligated to have you anymore. So that all has to be renegotiated. Maybe there's a little rent paid that's used later to launch the child. If the young person is going off to college, then expectations have to really be set as to what appropriate performance is. And I usually don't recommend parents go much more than 2 bad semesters before deciding not to continue to pay for things that aren't going well.
So expectations like what acceptable grades are.
Exactly.
How much money you can take, how much money you can spend.
Exactly. All of the things that young adults have to deal with in college need to be talked about now, or else they're going to turn into problems later on. And if it gets really bad and a kid's bombing out a couple of semesters, parents should say up front, you're going to have to pay for the next 2 semesters after that, and we'll pay you back. And that system usually works pretty well because kids suddenly have an investment in their education.
If they want to keep going. Okay, let's talk about bullying, cyberbullying especially. What do you tell families?
You've got to understand the social media, and there are really 2 kinds of social media. There are those that are kind of private, like email and texting and a diary under your bed that's locked up. And then there's the non-private ones. You should never use the word privacy and Facebook or Twitter in the same sentence. And when those are not private to the world, they shouldn't be private to parents either. And kids hate this. They don't want their parents to be friends or followers. But the truth is that's how we monitor the bullying behaviors. Bullies are like roaches. They do a lot better in the dark.
What is age-appropriate assertiveness? You want to encourage that, but what does that really mean? What does it look like?
We find in the research that kids who stand up to their parents may seem annoying as teenagers, but they're the ones who are able to stand up to people the rest of their lives. And so parents may be kind of worn out with the kid who talks back to them, but encouraging that kind of assertiveness will encourage them to be that way with partners and friends and teachers and folks in the future. Now, sure, that can go too far, but in general, an assertive kid is going to be a safer kid in the world of bullying or any other aspect of life.
All right, so do you want to teach them to speak up?
It's true.
Dr. Crenshaw is going to be signing copies of his new books and speaking this Thursday night. It's at the Kansas City Public Library, the one on Main Street. This is free, open to the public. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. and we have all the information on fox4kc.com. Click on mornings. The guys in this